Guess who's back? Back again. Hello and welcome to Golden Goal TV. I am your host for today, Austin the Great Sullivan. I know I'm back. I know. So basically today we're going to be talking Premier League weekend. Going to be covering all the matches. We've got some personal reviews from some of our other members of Golden Goal TV who unfortunately couldn't be here today on the video, so they have pre-recorded some videos for us today. But first, let's hit the intro.
Fitting way to do so. Can it's him. Back to Balotelli. It runs for Aguero. They've done it!
Hazard still on the ground as Charlie Adam goes for goal here. Oh, and he scored!
And was by Stones. Andrew Townsend! A field a minute. And Aaron Ramsey starts and ends. An immaculate. Trying to find a way through.
And there you have it. There's the intro. Don't know if it messed up there a little bit. Internet, bad weather, you know what it's like. Anyway, so that was the intro. Welcome to Golden Goal TV. We are back for another jam-packed live episode full of reviews towards this weekend's Premier League action before the World Cup break. Now we're going to go through each game. We're going to go through each contributor that has contributed a video towards us today towards each match. So first of all, we're going to talk Man City versus Brentford, and for that we have a new contributor to Golden Goal TV called Phil, who is one of Matt's friends. So he's going to talk to you about Man City Brentford, and please leave your opinions down in the comments below.
As we look at the Man City versus Brentford game, the two teams have had a different build-up to each of the match this weekend. Since the start of September, Man City have won 6 of their 8 league games, only losing once in the noticeable defeat against Liverpool, and drew once, which was 1-1 against Villa. Also featuring in the Champions League games where they've progressed into the round of 16 against Red Bull Leipzig, which begins in late February. Brentford haven't had such luck. Their defeat in the penalties the other night to League 2 outfit Gillingham following the Runnel main event. 9 games in the league, drawing 4 of them. 0-0 against Bournemouth and Chelsea, 1-0 against the 10 Melton Wolves, and then 2-0 against bottom of the table Nottingham. Then succumbing 3-0 to Arsenal, 5-1 against a recently strengthened Newcastle, and 4-0 against Villa, leaving just 2 wins against Leeds, which was a 5-2, and then Brighton for 2-0. With the World Cup coming up in Qatar shortly, players' fitness is a key struggle too. Players wanting to be fit for both club and country, Man City are featuring 9 players currently from their squad. Recent transferee Manuel Akanji from Switzerland, De Bruyne for Belgium, Gundogan playing for Germany, Ederson for Brazil, and then we've got Kyle Walker, Foden, John Stones, Jack Grealish and Calvin Phillips all playing for the English 26-man squad. Luckily for City, their striker Erling Haaland will miss the World Cup due to personal life commitments. This then provides an added boost for when the league restarts just after Christmas with their game against Leeds. Looking at the hopefully potential lineup for City, could post to get in that game. I don't envisage much of a chance or a change from the game against Fulham, other than João Cancelo being on a ban following his red card. Hopefully we may see Haaland, potentially from the bench or for part of the game from the starting 11, but being mindful he is still recovering from his injury to his foot ligaments. Basing on this, I predict it to be an inevitable City win, being mostly probably a 2, maybe a 3-0 win.
There you go, and there's Phil's opinion of Man City Brentford. I do agree with what he has said regarding players' fitness, especially with the World Cup coming up. I would also like to apologise if there is any technical difficulties throughout the video. Like I said, internet, it's the wonders of the world. So yeah, no, I do agree with what Phil said. Player fitness is key during that match, but I could see it being a Man City win towards that. So basically now we are going to move on to the next game, which our lovely other producer, who unfortunately couldn't be in the video today, has sent over his contribution, and it's going to be Aston Villa versus Brighton. Now, this is going to be an interesting game, but we will get Matt's opinion on that and see what he has to say.
So, for my last game to preview, Aston Villa take on Brighton, and Brighton being the home team. Their last game at home was the 4-1 win against Chelsea. It seems that Brighton have found their new luck under a new manager, especially after Graham Potter. They've done really well. We spoke really well about how the new manager has settled in, especially with Graham Potter, and basically as soon as Potter's left, he's just carried on this philosophy that Graham Potter's had at the club, which is brilliant to see. This one's difficult to call. Villa, you never know what you're going to get with Villa, especially with Unai Emery now in charge. We're going to probably see a very competitive game from both sets of teams. You had Villa winning 3-1 against Manchester United. They now have Manchester United on, well, it will be tomorrow. Well, today, sorry. But we won't know the result until tonight. So it's going to be an interesting way to think about who's going to have what and where the points are going to be. I think looking at it, it could be one of those games where it could be quite like the Wolves game where it could be 3-2. But I think, if anything, it might end up in another draw. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw for the moment. But honestly, this game could go anywhere with the way that both the new managers are doing. And it is going to be a battle of the new managers. Let's see who comes out on top. Looking forward to this one.
There you have it. Matt was exactly right. Very good game to look forward to, especially with Aston Villa versus Brighton. So, next up we have, and I know it sounds quite rushed, I know. But yeah, so next up we have Hubert, who is our normal host for the show. So he normally hosts, but unfortunately he couldn't be here today. So I'm here. I know, amazing, fabulous. I am the best on this. So, but no, we've got Spurs versus Leeds. Now, obviously, I'm gonna do a quick one on this one. I can't really say a lot, obviously, due to our due to Arsenal's poor performance in the Carabao Cup against. You know, it's going to be an interesting one to watch. It's going to be one of those ones where we need Spurs to lose this one, especially for me as an Arsenal fan. I'm pointing to the wrong side. No, but yeah, no. So Spurs versus Leeds, yet again, it goes back to obviously fitness of players, how they've been training, and also how they just play on the day. So, but yeah, we shall go on to Hubert's review of the game and see what he has to say.
Right, let's talk Spurs versus Leeds, or a Spurs full of injuries versus Leeds, a very much a surprise package at the moment as things stand. Spurs losing to Liverpool, losing to Nottingham Forest, almost losing to Bournemouth a few weeks ago. You have to say things aren't very rosy at Spurs, just about managing to qualify through to the last 16 of the Champions League. Certainly things are a bit tricky for Spurs. Is it panic stations for Tottenham? You never know. I wouldn't say so, but you never know. And they are playing Leeds United, and although it is at Spurs, so you'd expect that to have some sort of an advantage. You never know what's going to happen with Leeds. They are a surprise package at the moment, as I've said before on multiple preview and review shows. they are surprising people. They're not blowing teams away. They're not smashing everyone to pieces, but they are getting a lot more points and winning and picking up results from a lot more games than people would have given them at the beginning of the season. Do I see this game being an upset and Leeds getting something out of it? Yeah, possibly. I mean, after Spurs losing to Forest and losing to Liverpool, who knows what the morale is like with Son still not being fully fit, attacking isn't fully there. It just depends. I mean, who scores first? If Spurs score first, that'll be quite interesting, because they've gone behind in the last few games and then started playing. Sometimes worked out, sometimes it didn't. For the last 2 games, it didn't. So I'm going to say here, a bit of a gamble. 1-1 between the two teams. Spurs 1, Leeds 1. So we'll see what happens there, but that is my prediction.
There you go. Very interesting review. So, 1-1 draw between Spurs versus Leeds. Also, would like to just state that Hubert hasn't gone invisible. He just accidentally filmed the wrong way. So he hasn't gone invisible, don't worry. We're not aliens, we can't, this isn't Harry Potter. So yeah, but no. Interesting review there. Spurs 1, Leeds 1. And to be honest, with the way that Leeds have been playing, I could see it being a thing, It could be a very interesting game to watch, and very excited for it. So, next up we have Bournemouth versus Everton. Now, this one is also being reviewed by Matt. So, Bournemouth versus Everton, yes, another interesting game. I could see, Everton, Bournemouth, I don't really know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this one down to Matt. No, I'm not, because Matt's video has not uploaded. That is my mistake. So I'm gonna have to review this one, unfortunately. So yeah, no, Bournemouth versus Everton. So interesting match yet again, and I will repeat myself a lot. It all depends on player fitness, really, more than anything, and also how they play on the day. So it's basically one of those things of which team's actually going to play better, and how is it going to work, So it could be a very tight game. I could see it going either way, really. Ignore the typing in the background. So yeah, no, but Bournemouth versus Everton at the Vitality Stadium. So Bournemouth, they haven't really had a good season, shall we say, but they're still there. So having a look at the Premier League table, and we're having a look at where obviously Everton are and then where Bournemouth are, we work it out on a basis of the fact of it's Bournemouth need to win it to go above Everton. So I feel that's going to be in their mindset, and they're going to use that mindset to win the game. There's only 1 point that's clearing them both, with Bournemouth being 17th and Everton being 16th. Obviously, the downside is that Bournemouth have got a minus 17 goal difference. So if they could get a lot of goals during the match, then yeah, it could be a good match. But like I said, that's going to be in Bournemouth FC's apologies. In Bournemouth's mindset is that they need to get above Everton. So yes, on that one, I think it's going to be. I think I'm going to go for a 2-1 Bournemouth on that one. So, right, moving on. So we've got now. I know it's my turn again. We've got Arsenal versus Wolves. Obviously, I had to choose Arsenal versus Wolves to review this one. So, Arsenal, we've had a cracking season. Top of the league. We didn't exactly do very well the other day in the Carabao Cup, but that's more because of the fact that we didn't really play our good team. So, you got Wolves, which are in 19th in the relegation, and then you got Arsenal, which are top of the league. Now, obviously, with World Cup coming up, and World Cup is a massive key thing that can affect this weekend's Premier League matches. Obviously, we've got Ben White, Ramsdale, Saka going in for England. You got correct me if I'm wrong, please. Gabriel Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus, I believe, for Brazil. I believe. So just stating those 6 players alone, they're key players for Arsenal. But in all honesty, and I'm not just saying this because I'm an Arsenal fan, I think it will go in Arsenal's favour because of the fact of Arsenal have been so strong to the start of the season, and I think it's going to be a flow that keeps on going. I think they've got their momentum, they've got that flow, and they're managing to stick to that flow. So I could see it going. I could see a 2-0 win to Arsenal on that one. I'll even go one better. I could see maybe Martinelli and I'm going to go for... Do you know what? I'm going to go for Martinelli and I'm going to go for Gabriel Jesus. If he plays, obviously. I'm going to go for them two to score. But yeah, no. Arsenal Wolves, be a good game. Basically title contenders versus relegation. So, very interesting game to watch and very interesting game to see. Please do leave your comments down below on what you feel your review is towards any of these matches. Would love to hear them. I can put them up on the screen, and then that way you're part of the show then. So, moving on now, we've got... Let's see if I've actually done so. I have. We have West Ham versus Leicester. And I'm going to pass you over to Hubert for this one. And remember, he is not invisible.
Okay, next game, West Ham Leicester. Now, again, you've got teams in very differing forms right now. You've got West Ham on one hand, who are in a real poor bit of form, and sure, ended Conference League group winners, so nothing, almost perfect, very much perfect campaign there. But on the other hand, Premier League progress, well, that's a tricky one, it seems. Not a great run of form at the moment. Last minute loss to Palace, and most West Ham fans have not been positive at all. That game was very negative. A lot of West Ham fans saying that was a very terrible loss. A lot of West Ham fans also saying we've scored less goals than the games we have played. That is basically relegation form. That's what West Ham fans are saying. And they are playing Leicester City, a team who, wanted Brendan Rodgers sacked at the beginning of the season after a terrible run of form. But now Leicester seems to have found their form. They seem to be killing it at the moment. For Leicester standards, they seem to be slowly climbing back to what they... their fans would say they should be. They beat Everton convincingly. They beat Newport County. Leicester are high flying, whereas West Ham are under pressure. So how do I see this going? I see Leicester winning it. It's not going to be a massive win. I'm going to say 2-1 to Leicester. But at the moment, Leicester, I think, are just in a better run of form, and whether on the day that will be a win, well, it remains to be seen. But at the moment, I see Leicester more likely to win than Newcastle. Leicester more likely to win than West Ham. So, yes, I'm saying 2-1 Leicester for that one.
There you have it. So 2-1 there for Hubert. And yeah, he's right in what he said. West Ham 15th in the league, and then you got Leicester, which 14th. So yet again, that's another position decider right there, that decides who goes above who, or if West Ham goes above Leicester, or if Leicester stays above. So I do agree with what Hubert said there. And so we are moving on now to We move on to Forest versus Palace, and for this one, I have actually got Matt's video for this one, and I would like to apologise again to Matt for the mishap for Bournemouth versus Everton. He did have some very valid points, and I do apologise sincerely. So, yeah, Forest versus Palace. I'll pass you over to Matt, our other producer, and he will talk to you about his opinions on Forest versus Palace.
Okay, so the next game I am previewing is the Forest versus Palace fixture. An interesting game. You've got both teams finally picking up some form. Forest in their last home game beating Liverpool. Obviously, their next game they lost to Arsenal, but they found their feet again at home beating Tottenham in the League Cup. Whereas you see Palace finally picking up some form, 2 wins in the last 2 games, 1-0 against Southampton and then a 2-1 victory over West Ham. It's important that both these teams pick up points. Every time I go for Palace, they haven't done well over the last couple of weeks. Other times when I've picked Forest to pick up something, they haven't done the same. So I think it will be safe to say I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, go from there, and to be honest, I think both teams would be happy with a point. I think Forest would be happier with the 3 points, if I'm honest. But it's going to be an interesting game. I think this is going to be one to watch, that's for sure.
And there you go. Perfect review by Matt there. And yes, totally agree. Nottingham Forest, bottom of the table, 20th with 10 points, minus 20 goal difference, and then you've got Crystal Palace in 10th, with 19 points and a minus 2 goal difference, and, I could see it being, I don't know, I feel like it could be in Fulham's favour. Like you said, they did beat Liverpool, they lost against Arsenal, but they did find their feet again, and I feel that they could beat Fulham. That they could beat Nottingham. They can't beat themselves, can they? But yeah, no, I feel maybe it could be a 2-1 win to Fulham on that front, which will be interesting to see, to be fair with you, before the World Cup. So next up we have Liverpool versus Southampton. Now, this one is interesting because obviously Liverpool haven't really done particularly well this season, with only 5 wins, 4 draws and 4 losses, sitting at the table on 8th with 19 points and a 9 goal difference, with Southampton sitting at 18th with 3 wins, 3 draws, 8 losses, a minus 12 goal difference and 12 points. So obviously, we saw the performance that Liverpool dished out against Fulham. That didn't exactly go in their favour. And we also saw Liverpool lose a couple more games as well. And so, but I'm going to pass you over to the wonderful man that is what we call Hubert. A wonderful, wonderful man. Except for the fact he supports Chelsea. But, wonderful man. I will pass you over to Hubert now, and he will tell you his opinion of Liverpool versus Southampton.
Well, let's talk Liverpool-Southampton, shall we? So, very interesting. You've got Liverpool coming off the back of a great win against Tottenham. Very defensive Tottenham, but hey-ho. Then they had a win against Derby. Very hard for a win, but in the League Cup, but they've had it. And you've got Southampton winning also in the League Cup. And of course, most importantly, under the new manager now, Nathan Jones from Luton Town. Upgrade for Nathan Jones there, you could say. And are Southampton hoping for a new manager bounce? I mean, probably for the bookies it'll be a turnout, but I'm not sure. You never know. Southampton are one of these teams where you don't expect them to get something. They only go and do it. Will they do it here? I mean, they've taken points from Premier League leaders. They've taken points from Chelsea. You just don't know. Although at Anfield, a new manager bounce is unlikely to me. Mind you, I don't also think Liverpool will hammer Southampton, in all honesty.
I would probably say Liverpool still win, but I would say Liverpool will still win the game, but by probably quite a narrow margin. So my prediction is simply going to be here: Liverpool 2, Southampton 1, and although no new manager bounce predicted, I think you still don't know what could happen tomorrow. So yes, that is my prediction: 2-1 to Liverpool.
There you have it, 2-1 to Liverpool. I could see that being the exact scoreline. I might have to get down to the bookies. Thank you, Hubert. Thank you for that. Okay, so last game of the video. Unfortunately, I know, upsetting. You don't get to see me anymore. No, we're going to be talking Fulham versus Man United now. Fulham versus Man United, I will be reviewing this one. Unfortunately, we couldn't get a review on this one because I messed up. My fault. So, yes, no. Fulham versus Man United. Be an interesting one, Fulham versus Man United. Yet again, and I know I say it a lot, it does go on the basis of, player fitness and everything else as well. And, they're not. It's more looking at the table and then looking at where they're positioned. So you have Man United in 5th, and then you've got Fulham in 9th. Like we said earlier, Fulham have been on strong feet, and Man United, they didn't start off well, but they've managed to, bark back. So, before I go deep into Fulham versus Man United, I'd like to read out some comments first. Fortunately, they're not showing up on the thing. So, Matt Roberts, he has commented saying, "Cheers, Austin, for doing this great work." You're very welcome. You're very welcome. George, my brother, my bro, he said, "Good man, come on Arsenal." He then said, Brighton 2-1, Man City 4-1, which is good. Okay, I like that a lot. Hubert, hello. He has commented saying, "Very good show. He is just a techie who can't use technology, lol. Let's put on my invisibility cloak again." Yes, he's not invisible, don't worry. And then Matt Roberts back again with the "Keep going, mate, doing really well." Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much. It means a lot. This is my first time hosting a show, so yes. But anyway, back onto Fulham Man United. With this one, it'd be a very good win for Fulham. I feel Fulham do need it. If Fulham do beat Man United, they will go above not only Liverpool, but they would also go above Chelsea and Brighton, which then puts them in a 1-point gap from Manchester United. For Man United to win, they would stay at 5th, so they would stay below Tottenham due to goal difference, unless they were to score 10 against Fulham, which is probably not likely. Unless you get, I don't know, I show speed on the pitch with Cristiano Ronaldo. But yeah, no. For the Man United, I'm going to go and give a prediction for... Do you know what? I'm going to risk it for a chocolate biscuit. I'm going to say 1-0 Fulham. I don't know why, but I feel Fulham might do it. So I'm going to say 1-0 Fulham on that one. So yeah. And that's all the games for this weekend before the World Cup. I know. Upsetting. Premier League break, I know. But at least we get to see Premier League players in action again in the World Cup. And so yeah. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And I hope I did a good job. I really do. I'd like to say thank you to Golden Goal TV for giving me this opportunity to host a video and giving me the opportunity to set this all up. And also I'd like to thank our viewers for commenting and subscribing, liking, and basically just keeping the channel going while we build and develop. So yeah, thank you very much, and I shall see you in the next one.